Q4 is right around the corner, and if you don't start preparing for Q4 right now, your brand is going to get left behind. So in this video, I want to show you my exact strategy on what we have been doing to prepare over 21 different e-commerce brands for Q4 with Google Ads, so you can do the same for your own brand. But there's a few different things which your brand needs to be looking at when it comes to Q4 preparation. Things such as the ad strategy, the budgets, the products your brand is going to be focusing on, the landing page designs, and most important of all, the back end. Things such as the email marketing, the SMS marketing, any types of other retargeting you may have going on at the moment. You want to really start paying attention to those things, including any types of applications like Shopify apps and beyond. We're going to go over each one of these separately, but let's start off with the main juice, the ad strategy, because without a proper ad strategy, Q4 is not going to be that explosive for you. The general strategy for Q4, it's not about product testing. You should already be stopping the testing by early September to late September, because as we enter Q4, it's all about scaling. That's the main juice of Q4. And in order to do that, 80 to 90% of your budget should be allocated towards scaling itself. So if you don't have a winning product strategy as of yet, that's your main focus for right now before we get into Q4. And when it comes to Q4, the perfect strategy is what I call the TPS approach, because this technically leaves you with a little bit of budget for testing as well, but pushes majority of the budget towards those products which are already profitable and towards those products which are already scaling or should be scaling during Q4. The T part of this TPS approach stands for testing. This is the 10% or 20% of your budgets where you're just simply letting it run in the background via a smart bidding based campaign. Could be a performance max campaign, standard shopping. The nitty-gritty details are entirely up to you and what works best for your brand. But the main gist of this T portion of the strategy is to basically test products on a smart bidding based approach, meaning you don't want to be restricting the algorithm with unnecessary target ROAS restrictions or target CPA restrictions or even bid limits which you're not sure if they're accurate for your products or not. It's all about letting the algorithm free and letting the algorithm test freely without any stoppage during Q4. This brings us to the rest of the TPS approach, which stands for profitability and scaling. During Q4, we don't like to separate out the products that are profitable versus those that are scaling in their own separate approaches. Instead, we group them together because we want to utilize as much data that's coming in as possible to make the algorithm strong as quickly as possible. You have no time to waste during Q4. You don't want to be testing things separately during this time. Instead, segment these products which are already profitable and which are already scaling together, and then start scaling them by increasing the budgets every 4 days, every 7 days. And in the beginning, you want to put 80 to 90% of your budget towards this campaign or these campaigns to begin with as well. During Q4, it's all about how much budget you can spend versus what your competitors are spending. We like to allocate about 70 to 80% of the entire budget for marketing towards just Google Ads for Q4, because with Q4, if your algorithm is optimized, if you have products which are already working, the scale comes very quickly. It can be very drastic, from going from $1,000 a day within 1 day to $5,000 a day within the next 4 days to 7 days. And you need to be prepared for this, because once things start scaling, you need to have enough of a budget to let the budgets go above what you want to spend, and also be able to increase the budget so you can start spending more. But all of these things don't matter if you don't have any best-selling products. So the key right now is to find those best sellers. This is something we're doing for the brands we handle under my Google Ads agency as well, Your Marketing, which if you run a brand doing $1 million a year, you need extra help scaling your brand to the next level. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see potentially if we can work together and make that happen. But finding best sellers right now is key. This can be done by segmenting out some of your products within the TPS approach, specifically focusing on the testing portion by creating campaigns based around product categories, based on product prices, based on product margins. All these revolve around key similarities. You want to be focused on the similarities as well when testing, because if you just go out and put a bunch of random products together during Q4, there's a chance they will end up getting sales, but there's also a very good chance about 80 to 90% of your product catalog will not be tested, and Google will only prefer maybe the 10 to 20% of your product catalog which has the highest search volume. You don't want that happening during Q4. You want to be getting those sellers quickly. You want to be finding them very quickly so you can then transition them to the P and the S portion of the strategy. But the main goal is to focus on those winning products and focus on getting some winning ad copies as well. Because the last thing you want to do during Q4 is just be focused on performance max campaigns or on standard shopping campaigns. The main goal of Q4 is to scale horizontally as well as vertically. Now, vertical scaling, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's just about increasing budgets every 4 to 7 days. It's also about decreasing restrictions so the campaigns can go out and reach bigger and bigger pockets of the audience. On the other hand, with horizontal scaling, it's about expanding to other campaign types, introducing more campaign types like demand gen, like YouTube, display, discovery, whatever you can, whatever works for your brand, and just scaling through those means. But all of this is only possible if you have a strong foundation in place. And one thing you want to understand is with Google Ads, the way you win auctions is through a little formula that determines the quality score of your entire ad account and determines the quality score of your ads. Now, the way to calculate this quality score is fairly simple. It's the landing page experience plus the bids of your campaigns plus the budgets plus the expected CTR. These 4 things make up your quality score. And during Q4, you cannot be just relying on bidding high because that's a very good way to become unprofitable. Because keep in mind, just like you, your competitors also are going to start bidding high during Q4 because they also want to make the best use of Q4. So instead, you need to focus on the 2 other parts of this formula, which is the landing page experience and the expected CTRs. CTRs with Google Ads can be improved by simply improving the product images. Again, doing the opposite of your competitors. That's very crucial, which means if every one of your competitors has a product on a plain white background, you need to come in with a real lifestyle background and vice versa. This all increases the CTRs of your products, which then helps your quality score increase as well. But in addition to that, landing page redesigns. I can't tell you how many times we have worked with brands where they do a landing page redesign in the middle of Q4. And this is one of the worst things you can do because what happens is, let's say the landing page redesign doesn't go too well, your audience doesn't like it. Well, now it's going to de-optimize all of the results we're getting with Google Ads. It's going to slow things down. And even if you were to revert back to the original landing page, now because we were de-optimized for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, it's going to take that much longer to get back on track, which is something you never want to risk, especially in the middle of Q4. So whatever landing page designs you want to do, redesigns, additions, trust badges, etc., you need to do it right now so that the algorithm can optimize for it and so that your audience can tell you whether they even like these changes or not. But that's not where things end. In fact, if you don't focus on also the back end funnel, things are going to become a very big mess. Now, with the back end funnel, it's fairly simple. You need to have proper retargeting systems in place. If you're running other advertising platforms like Facebook, TikTok, etc., the number one thing you want to do is establish a retargeting campaign of some sort. With Facebook ads or just any advertising platform, we prefer dynamic product ads. On Google Ads, we like to do retargeting via performance max campaigns, but you can also do it via demand gen as well as YouTube. But it's very important during Q4 because a lot of the traffic that's coming in, they might not purchase from your brand right away because they might be looking for better deals, they might be shopping around, etc. And that's where you need to come in on all advertising platforms, on all advertising channels with your brand to ensure that you're retargeting these people and you're always in front of them. So eventually they have no choice but to buy from your brand as well. But this also goes back to email marketing as well as SMS marketing as well. And adding scarcity is super crucial. We do this within the Google Merchant Center by adding special promos, by adding special discounts, which have a time limitation to it. So you don't want to add any fake discounts because the audience is very smart. They're going to see right through the BS and they're not going to shop with you or think you're trustable, because although it's super important to make tons of sales during Q4, you need to also have a long-term vision in mind. You don't want your brand long-term to seem very pathetic or seem like a lying brand just to get a few extra sales during Q4. So always keep that long-term vision in mind whenever you're developing a strategy for the Google Ads side of things or just for your brand in general. But again, if you run a brand doing $1 million a year, you need extra help scaling your brand to the next level, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see potentially if we can work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here on a few performance max campaign strategies you can be using this Q4 along with this approach to really scale your brand to the very next level.